art, comedy, pop culture, and much more. ACPN.
Sean was just telling us that he said it was okay for you to spoil any of the really big secrets coming up.
Here's who dies.
What are you excited for fans to get to experience with Void Rivals or any other things that you're kind of having creative input on? Or anything that you can talk about?
I think what I'm most excited about is now that we're in year 2, we've already gotten through the proof of concept phase, so everything that we're doing with Energon Universe has been met with a really positive response from the diehard fans, and it's kind of put us in a place where we are kind of exploding with ideas and being able to make far-reaching plans. We had already put some far-reaching plans in motion just to make sure that we had some places to go in the case of success. But now that we're into year 2, I know what's going to be happening like way down the line in Void Rivals. We're already making far-reaching plans with Transformers. I've seen some very long far-reaching documents for Josh Williamson for G.I. Joe that has a ton of different exciting stuff. And this is a massively expansive world that we're building here. If you just look at a list of G.I. Joe and Transformers characters, and then we're adding new stuff with Void Rivals, it definitely rivals what Marvel and DC have as far as character breadth. And then the goal is to have a robust shared universe that is the ideal that you've always wanted from Marvel and DC, but they've gotten so large and unwieldy, there's certain things that, this isn't continuity anymore, and this is this, and this is that. And we're trying to do something that's more cohesive, and it's just really great getting the chance to build that.
Tell us about the fever dream that made you come up with the Energon Universe, because being from growing up in the 80s and having Transformers and G.I. Joe as my toys that I grew up with, it's just great to see them all in one. And do you have issues getting them to kind of work together? Or?
Well, it's so huge fan of both G.I. Joe and Transformers from the get-go. Maybe not the 60s G.I. Joe stuff. So, those were largely kept separate, church and state or whatever, aside from some big crossover events or some things that happen along the way. And when it became available, when it seemed like Skybound could possibly get the license, I thought, something as integrated as this, where they really intermingled and dovetailed into one cohesive universe, was something that would work, but it depends on which G.I. Joe you choose. The G.I. Joe that is, very military based and real world based and is a little bit more grounded, Larry Hama's Real American Hero. You start throwing Transformers into that mix, and it's downright disrespectful to a certain extent, and so it's great that we have that book existing and we get to continue that, and it gives us the leeway to do weird G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe that sometime, in the late 80s, early 90s, when things got a little bit crazier and Cobra Law got introduced and different elements like that. If you have that G.I. Joe dovetails perfectly with the Transformers universe, and it's almost like anything goes. And so that's really as long as you kind of lean towards that, then it's hey, we got peanut butter and jelly, we got chocolate peanut butter. Peanut butter goes well with everything, right? So, it really gave us an opportunity to do some really cool things. And so, that was really the thing that got me really excited. How do you do a universe where Duke and Optimus Prime both exist at the same time? We'll interact at a certain point, and it does make sense.
Well, they always interacted in My Little Pony.
So we know there's more toys out there to play with, but you did mention that was the thing with DC and Marvel, that they just got too big. So right now you're just focusing on Transformers and G.I. Joe, but maybe later on, Mask? Or...
Mask I think would be the natural progression. I think that's the other one from the 80s that has the solid fan base, and it's got the cool toys, and certainly got some Mask toys.
Some cool ones.
And so it seems like the natural progression, but, right now our focus is on G.I. Joe and Transformers and all the characters there. Who knows what the future holds, but I will say that we we are very painstakingly meticulous on growth and expansion and how we approach it. We want to maintain this level of success and maintain this level of quality. And I think that if we grow too fast, I think that's when things can get unwieldy. We were doing the G.I. Joe miniseries for a while. We were keeping things to 4 books at a time. We're actually going down to 3 books when we launched G.I. Joe. We're not one to have a 4th book for a while. So this is a very tight universe where, it's important to us that people can go into the comic shop every month, buy these 3 comics, get the full universe, get every single little piece of everything that we need. And it's not, gonna grow past that for, some time. So when we do expand, we'll be doing it methodically to make sure that we don't, go too much too fast and kind of drive people down.
So with the relationship with Hasbro, can we expect to see any Void Rivals action figures coming out anytime soon?
The action figure side of things, we're going to have our sandbox, and Hasbro is very collaborative with us. I hope that as time progresses and we get more into what we're doing, we'll be able to kind of play off of them more and actually kind of see what we're doing reflected in some of the toys that they do. There's no guarantee of that. We don't have any kind of hand in that or anything, and we just have to let Hasbro do their thing. So it would be nice. But, who knows what the future is?
Speaking of which, with Destro ending this past week, are we coming closer to seeing the crossover between Void Rivals and Transformers G.I. Joe?
Crossover is the exact same kind of discussion as expansion. I think that it is inevitable that there will be a massive crossover in the Energon Universe. I think that it will only work if it comes when you least expect it, and it is special. I think that one of the failures on Marvel and DC's part, or on Marvel and DC's part, is that events aren't even events anymore. It's okay, let me set my watch. It's event time again.
It's summer.
Must be Tuesday.
Yeah, it's it was every year, then it's every 6 months. It's almost gotten to the point where, depending on what you count as an event, it's almost every quarter. And there's something less and less. And so one of the things that we want to do is make sure that, if we ever do an event, it will be a culmination of years of storytelling. It will be worthy of being an event. And when it happens, it's not going to happen again until there's more years of storytelling that can culminate in another one. And it's not going to be regular cadence. You're not going to know when it's going to happen. And when it does happen, it'll be something hopefully monumental and exciting. So, like I say, the goal is to eventually get there, but it could be many, many years before you see some kind of massive event at the Energon Universe. That said, we're seeing Pythona and the Royal Guard show up in Void Rivals. We're going to start seeing some really exciting, surprising things in G.I. Joe as G.I. Joe goes. And so, we're definitely going to have big storylines, and we're going to have very exciting things that are happening where you might see G.I. Joe and Void Rivals interacting in a really exciting way for a couple of issues, or Transformers and Void Rivals, Transformers and G.I. Joe. But as far as a big all-encompassing event, we have to earn that, and that's very important.
Fair enough.
We're about a full year's worth of issues into Real American Hero. Orders still seem strong in stores. Print runs are pretty high. What are you guys doing right that IDW is doing? The horns come out of my head.
No, to be honest, it's really taken us by surprise as well. I think that
I'm looking forward to it.
tough question to answer. I think that there's an invisible art to the making of comics. I'm gonna just answer honestly. I may get in trouble for this. I'm sorry. Very talented people working on Real American Hero and IDW. I think that lettering and coloring is something that is of utmost importance in the final aesthetic of what you see in comics, and I think that to a certain extent, there were really great artists doing real American heroes. He was great. And I just think the style of coloring and the style of lettering that he tried to incorporate just has like an effect that kind of makes a book look not necessarily as good as it could. And I think that I don't know, it's all a matter of taste. I could be completely wrong. You asked me a question, I didn't want to do it. I feel like I was backed in a corner. But I feel like those tiny elements actually just add a level of quality that make a book look, different. And now I have very talented letters and colorists that are very angry at me. And, hopefully no one sees this answer. But I don't want to be critical of IDW though. Like, they had these characters for I think 16 years and did some absolutely historic, absolutely monumental things with these characters. We wouldn't be able to do what we were doing if they hadn't done what they were doing. They reestablished the numbering. They brought Larry on the back. They did, what did they start with, like 150 something, and they ran it all the way to 300. Yeah, so they almost did as many issues of Larry Hero as Marvel did originally. They should be commended for everything that they did. I don't want to seem like a negative stuff, but
Yeah, it's just like, it's not just the nostalgia bump of 301, 310, 311.
I mean, that definitely helps. I think that you can see when Spawn hit issue 300, sales completely skyrocketed. I think that's a huge element to it as well. I wish I had thought of that, and I would have said that was the answer. Can I go back and say that's my answer?
I'll try and make it easier. I don't know. I think it's really easier than that. But so you create The Walking Dead, which becomes a legitimate pop culture juggernaut. You create Invincible, which is on its way to becoming a pop culture juggernaut. Now you've taken these beloved, iconic characters and relaunched them in a way the comics world hasn't seen in a long time. So do you ever just wake up in the morning and go like, I'm Robert Kirkman, and that's pretty awesome. Like, everybody else, take a step back. Like, how do you stay grounded a little bit? Sometimes I feel like.
I've never done that. I'm very happy with where I'm at, and I'm very proud of what I've accomplished. I think that I have a immediate family that could not care less about everything I've done. And so, I come here and people say nice things like that.
Right.
I go home, which is where I am 90% of the time, and no one says anything like that ever. I get a lot of like, don't you help out around here? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? So I really feel like I'm actually like a failure in most cases. So that helps me stay grounded.
That makes sense.
I take out the stress sometimes. I don't know what they want. My kids are teenagers. I feel like they should be doing it.
Absolutely.
So, knowing what you know now about the industry and everything else, what would you tell your younger self that you know now that you wish you knew then?
I wouldn't want to choose. I did so great.
Tell me after that question.
Just want to go back 10 minutes.
Yeah, please. Lordy. All right. Anyway, it's gonna happen. But I think that I definitely made some mistakes along the way. I maybe wouldn't have done any of those books at Marvel.
I love the Jukebox series.
That's the one you picked.
It's my daughter's middle name.
That's awesome. I had so much fun on that book. I don't want to derail this entire thing talking about Jubilee. But yeah, that was a fun book. But yeah, there you go. We'll go to the next answer.
All right, so we've seen the deluxe editions of volumes 1 announced, and we've seen the covers. How do you all go in thinking ahead of like the mapping? But when you've got like G.I. Joe, for example, had different miniseries and will continue to have different miniseries, whereas Transformers is just one. Would G.I. Joe like volume 2 be coming out way before anything else?
I don't know what. So the G.I. Joe. So there's like the Duke trade, Scarlet trade, Destro, Cobra Commander. Those are going to be collected in hardcovers that are branded Codename G.I. Joe. Mm-hmm. And then, have we announced this? I feel like I might be.
There were 3 announcements. There was a Void Rivals Deluxe Edition and the Deluxe editions of the G.I. Joe and
So then the
Transformers.
G.I. Joe series will just be collected in G.I. Joe hardcover #1. So
Okay.
that's how that'll work. But you'll know that the Codename G.I. Joe stuff leads into G.I. Joe.
And those are the miniseries.
Yeah, those are the
Oh,
miniseries.
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah. We did it a little bit different with G.I. Joe just because, coming off of all the G.I. Joe stuff that IDW done, we wanted to try and key in on individual characters.
Yeah.
And make the individual characters interesting and really kind of dig into them to kind of put them on as high pedestal as possible. So that when the G.I. Joe book was coming out, which is where we're at now, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get Destro, and I'm going to get Scarlet, I'm going to get Duke, and I'm going to get, all the other characters that were introduced in those miniseries. They're now in one book together. So the idea of G.I. Joe existing and being its own title is actually special.
Yeah.
So that was the tactic we were trying to incorporate there, and it seems to have worked out. But
Until the crossover happens, and then you got to remap everything.
it'll be fine. Don't worry. Don't worry. We've got it all figured out.
All right, time to rotate one more time.
Thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you.
Robert.